A bully in your mind that follows you around everywhere you go, that never leaves you alone, that is always picking on you and calling you names, making fun of you, judging you. My question is, why would you let this bully follow you around everywhere you go without putting your foot down and saying, no, enough? You see, I think there's really one main reason why we allow bullies in our life to torment us. And that is because in some deep, dark, twisted way, we think that we deserve it. We may not always love ourselves enough to draw the line and create a boundary. Well, I'm here to say that you can stop this bully at any moment that you wish. But first, we need to understand why this bully is here in the first place. Not why the bully is doing this to us, but why we are allowing the bully to torment us. We allow this monster mind power over us by the attention that we choose to give it. Becoming free from a bully in real life is no different than the bully in our mind. We can use the same strategy in both scenarios. Because a bully in real life only has the effect that we allow it to have over us. If a bully is saying mean things to me and calling me names and judging me, well, I can choose to cower in fear and, oh no, please stop it, this hurts, oh no, please. And that's what a lot of people experience. Or I could stand up for myself and fight back, and that could work for sure. But I think the most effective tactic, the most effective way to deal with a bully is to not even acknowledge their existence. Because you live in a reality where whatever he is saying is irrelevant. But the moment you begin believing the bully, the moment you allow it in, is the moment the ship starts to sink. The water that gets in is what destroys. So the moment we say enough is enough is the moment we stop fighting the war in our mind. Because what kind of life is a life lived at war all the time? We are designed to be at harmony with ourselves, to be at harmony with all the different aspects of our being. And when we reach that state, life begins happening the way we want it to happen. Our life begins to be filled with love and peace and happiness. That is the way we are meant to live. We're not meant to, be suffering so much all the time. Life isn't a sentence to a prison where we have to slave away our whole lives in misery and suffering, and some people choose to look at it that way, but you can choose to look at the world any way you want. Because the good will always use evil to do good, and evil will always use good to do evil. So everything balances itself out. So it's your choice. What do you want to experience in your life? It doesn't matter so much what the facts are right now in this moment. What matters is what you want to experience and the life that you want to live. Because if you focus so much on what is happening now in your life, well, you might not be where you want to be. And so the more you focus on how things aren't the way you want to be, the more you just reinforce this reality that you're experiencing. But if you choose to focus on the dream, when you keep your eyes on the prize, well then it doesn't matter so much what's going on in your current life circumstances, because you know that you are aligned with a better future. And it takes a long time to begin resonating with this ideal life and this ideal future, because sometimes in our current life circumstances, things are triggering. Things are not always easy. Things are stressful. And the problem is that when we allow this stress into our lives, when we allow it to affect us negatively in our emotions, in our mind, well then we just stay stuck for as long as we choose to focus on the negative. And remember, our minds can't tell the difference between what is going on in the physical world and what is going on in the mental world. So the more you begin to visualize your ideal future, your dream, the more that will create positive emotions in you. And these positive emotions will cause you to act in certain ways that produce positive outcomes. And eventually you get in a feedback loop of positivity where, before you know it, you manifested your dream life. But what do most people do? Most people focus on the negatives. They have negative thoughts, they have negative emotions, and these things cause them to act in ways that produce negative consequences. And so what is their experience? Well, they experience hell on earth. Just take the time for, a day or two and just listen to the way you speak to yourself. Pay attention to the thoughts that you think. Because the thoughts that you're thinking are the reason why you feel the way you do. And so the more you begin to change your thoughts consciously, it can be difficult at first, but isn't it worth paying any price for peace and love and joy? So it doesn't matter if it's difficult. You're already in a difficult situation. You're already feeling negative. What's difficult is staying this way for 3 years, for 5 years, for 10 years. And every year that goes by being stuck in the same place, you just get worse and worse and worse. And the guilt and the shame and the fear and the hatred, it begins to compound before one day you just can't take it anymore. And that's what I experienced. And that's what I had to go through. But I see that I had to go through this so I could return to the truth and let go of all the false, to let go of all the false things that were holding me back. And sometimes that's just the way it is. Sometimes you have to go through the suffering to experience liberation and freedom. Sometimes you have to go through hell to find heaven. But don't stay in this hellish place for longer than you need to be, because if you're not learning, if you're not growing, then what's the point? You're just suffering unnecessarily. And so you can either use this suffering that you experience for your growth, or you can just wallow in it forever, for years and years. Because let me tell you, there are plenty of people in this world who don't recover, who don't find the truth, who stay in this hell forever. And these are the people who go and shoot up schools, and these are the people who, commit suicide for reasons that sometimes seem silly. I saw a post earlier that this guy was in debt, and he was, struggling financially, and he had a family, and he committed suicide because he felt that there was no way out. And all of that fear and all of that judgment of himself was what? Was it truth? It wasn't truth. It's just a story that we play in our heads. It's just a story that we tell ourselves because of the lack of knowledge. And for most people, death is the price of ignorance. Because the moment you realize that you are the creator of your life, that everything that you experience, at least up until a certain point, is your own creation. Once you realize that, well, then you're already free. Because you can create any life that you desire just by thinking of it. Because reality is created first in the mind. But how do most people live their lives? They look at the facts of their reality, of what they think is the facts, of what they believe. And is it true? It can be sometimes, sure. It might be a fact that I'm in debt. It might be a fact that, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent this month, or it could be many facts. But the moment you choose to keep your focus on those facts is that the moment you reinforce that reality. Whereas if I understand that, okay, I'm the creator of my reality, I don't need to pay attention to these facts so much, because I know that at some point in the future that I'm going to be financially free, or that I'm going to be, free from worry and concern and fear, even if I'm not necessarily experiencing that right now in this moment. And like I said, there is good and there is evil in all things. And so it is a choice what you choose to pay attention to. When you have this bully in your mind always barking at you and making you feel bad, you can choose to focus on it. That's a fact. It's a fact that you're feeling bad because of those negative thoughts. It's a fact. Or you can choose to realize that those thoughts have no power over you whatsoever without your consent. Because it is in your belief in those negative thoughts that they have power over you and create suffering in your mind. And the moment you take away your belief is the moment that negative thoughts lose their power over you. Because if you're not interested, why would you give your attention? If you know who you are, if you know what you're about, and these negative thoughts come and try and convince you that you're somebody else, well then who cares what they say, because they don't know who you are. But until you, in this case, become grounded in truth, then they can always just come bite you and pull you in this direction and make you feel a certain way, and you just get caught up in the storm of life. You just get caught up in the storm of the mind. And that is why it's so critical to be rooted, to be grounded in the innermost core of your being, because when your roots are deep, it doesn't matter what storm comes. You could be in the most brutal mind attack that you've ever experienced and be at perfect peace. Because who cares what the thoughts are saying? And you might say, oh, well, I care. Well, that's why negative thoughts are creating such a problem in your life. It's because you care. And you might say, well, why would I not care? How could I not care? Don't you know how disturbing these thoughts can be? Don't you know all the terrible things that my mind is telling me? And I would say, oh, I understand. But it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it's still your choice to listen to the thoughts. And so when you have a bully in your life, you don't have to give him your attention. Because you are worth so much more than that. That bully is not worth the breath to react. It is not worth even one word, one reaction. Because what the bully is trying to do is trying to get your attention and get you to react. So it can steal your energy. So it can make itself feel like it's worth something. When really, maybe it's just insecure. Maybe the bully, maybe that's just its nature at that moment. And when you understand even that a bully, whether in real life or in the mind, it can only operate at the state that it's in at that very moment. And so you can even develop compassion and love for the mind, regardless of how evil and disturbing it can be sometimes. And that is the beginning of freedom and change. Because you're taking your focus away from the negative and focusing on what you want. Focusing on what you want to experience versus the experiences that you don't want. A lot of people start out focusing on what they don't want, and that's okay, but we have to evolve to focus on the experiences that will bring us the most joy, the most peace, the most happiness. Because that is the way we will experience reality. You know, a lot of people like to think that this physical world out there, this is the real world. This is the world of cold, hard facts. Sure, in some ways, yeah. But reality is created in the mind. And what you experience is created in the mind. Whereas most people are just reacting to phenomenon in the external world. And that's why it's such of key importance to look inward. Focus on your inner presence. Focus on this moment. Find the peace and happiness within. Because the more you keep trying to find it out there, the more you're just going to keep struggling and suffering. So if you want to become free from this bully in your mind, you have to stop giving it your attention. You have to stop feeding it your energy. Because that is what it's trying to do. And you are giving it permission to attack you by your belief. You are giving it consent by the energy that you give it. Because the moment you realize the truth that you are in charge and that you are the creator and that this energy is yours, it is you, well then you can choose to give it to whatever you like. And that's why so many people live miserably in their lives, because the universe says, hey, well, you're focusing on the negative so much, you must really like it. You must enjoy these negative emotions. And that's what people do. They get addicted to the cortisol and to the anxiety and to the arguments, and then they tell you all day, every day, no, I hate this, I hate the drama, I hate it all, I wish I just want peace. But then their actions contradict what they're saying. And so when you watch people's actions, you know what they truly desire. And it's usually not their fault. It's usually unconscious. Because if it was conscious, we'd do something about it, wouldn't we? So just remember that this power is yours, and you choose to give the power to your negative thoughts. And at any moment, you can take your power back. For those that are interested, I'm creating a coaching program to help people become free from negative thoughts and experience lasting relief. And I've got a survey down below. You can help create this program with me and make it a reality, so that we don't have to suffer so much from the tyranny of the monster mind. Because in truth, the mind is the single greatest problem that the world faces today. It is the reason that we have war. It is the reason that we have sickness. It is the reason that we cannot love one another. And so long as we are so stuck in this mind identification, well, then we'll continue to suffer. And who knows, maybe we'll make it, maybe we won't. Because I believe that there's a certain limit that the world can take from our nonsense, from this mind selfishness. And personally, I don't believe that we will destroy the world, but we will destroy the world for ourselves. We will destroy our world. Maybe not the earth. Maybe the earth will live on for millions, billions of years after. But if we don't do something soon, then chances are that we won't be here. And if that's the case, well then, it must be the way it was intended. But of course, so long as we're here in this human form, in this human body, might as well strive to create heaven on earth, regardless if it's achievable or not. Why not? What else are we going to do?